year 2055, time travel has become a practical reality, and the company, Time Safari Incorporated, offers wealthy adventurers the chance to travel back in time to hunt extinct species such as dinosaurs. A hunter named Eccles pays $10,000 to join a hunting party that will travel back 65 million years on a guided safari to kill a Tyrannosaurus Rex. As the party waits to depart, they discuss the recent presidential elections in which a far-right candidate, Dusher, has been defeated by his opponent Keith, to the relief of many concerned. When the party arrives in the past, Travis, the hunting guide, and his assistant warn Eccles and the two other hunters about the necessity of minimizing the events they changed before they go back. Even the smallest altercations to the distant past could snowball into catastrophic changes in history. Travis explains that the hunters are obligated to stay on a levitating path and to avoid disrupting the environment. Any deviation will be punished with hefty fines and prosecution. Time Safari scouts have been sent back to select and tag prey whose death will have minimal effect on the future prior to the hunt, and the time machine steps aside to prevent people from encountering themselves in the past. Although Eccles is initially excited about the hunt, when the monstrous T-Rex approaches, he loses his nerve. Travis tells him to go back to the time machine, but Eccles panics, steps off the path, and stumbles into the forest. The other four shoot and kill the dinosaur and see that Eccles has found his way back to the time machine. Travis threatens to leave him in the past before ordering him to remove the bullets from the dinosaur's body, as they cannot be left behind. Upon returning to 2055, Eccles and the rest of the party notice major changes. English words are now spelled phonetically, and worst of all, Dosher has won the election to the approval of the pro-fascist populace. Looking at the mud on his boots, Eccles finds a crushed golden butterfly, whose death has apparently changed the nature of the alternative present to which the safari has returned. He frantically pleads to undo the damage, and the story ends on a gunshot fired by Travis.
Not just for your own sake, but for the sake of everyone. What did Dostoevsky say? Everyone is responsible not only for what they do, but for what everyone else does. And that's an insane thing to say, but Dostoevsky was an insane genius, and with heavy emphasis on the genius. And it's very weird to understand that the world might be constituted so that everything that you do matters so much that it also affects everything everyone else does, but that is how the world's constituted, and that's a hell of a burden to take on, and a very frightening realization. You know, it's enough to make you psychotic if it comes upon you unawares. You know, people who become manic, they get some sense of the potential of their reach, but it comes upon them involuntarily and it just destroys them. It's just, they're too close to God. That's a good way of thinking about it. They've flown too close to the sun. Sun's still there and you need it. You can definitely fly too close to it, but you're still stuck with the responsibility. And that's a very daunting thought. You know, I've often thought, if people had to choose between, imagine you could choose, here's your choice. Your life is meaningless, fundamentally, ultimately. You know, you're just a dust speck you're just a grain of sand on an infinite beach. And what you do doesn't really matter. And that's a very dismal view of the world. But on the other hand, you don't have any responsibility. You can do whatever you want. And so you got to ask yourself, when people make that claim, is like, are they stark realists? Are they just trying to evade responsibility? And there's all sorts of reasons to evade responsibility, so I would use that hypothesis first and foremost. And the alternative to that is an even more terrifying view, and that's associated with the fear of God. That's the beginning of wisdom, is every single thing you do matters. It echoes and spreads. Every word you say constitutes reality. That's the divine word. Every word you say tilts the world towards heaven or hell. And that's the truth.
Honestly, since a very young age, I can remember everything that I did, I was always questioning my decisions. I was always wondering what decision would lead to what. Honestly, I can't believe where I'm at in my life right now. I would have never guessed that. It was never on my bingo card. If I had some advice to you guys, listening to this video honestly helps me a lot. Not my video per se, but other videos done about the butterfly effect, such as Aperture's video on it. It's a beautiful video. Go ahead and check him out. He's amazing. Honestly, it's about everything that you do. Every little thing that you do matters. Basically, If I go start working out right now, in 6 months, I'm gonna have some muscle gained on me. If I sit around wondering if I'm gonna do it one day, I'm never gonna gain muscle. I'll just continue to gain unhealthy weight. Everything you do matters, guys. The butterfly effect is a perfect example of this. Even if you could go back in the past and change bad things that have happened to you, you don't know where you'd end up in the future. Where you're at right now is where you're supposed to be at. Every decision that you guys are making are leading up to where your life is right now. Every decision you're making right now is going to put you in a different place in your life in the future. Don't future trip, don't fast trip. Just keep doing the next right thing. I promise everything will be okay. Everything you do matters. From the smallest things, from making your bed to taking right or left turns when you're driving. Anything can happen at any time. The video I just showed you, honestly, is super inspirational and super informative. I believe that everything that you do contributes to your life, such as the butterfly effect. Whether you take a left turn or a right turn at anywhere in life, it could drastically change the story of your life. Also, with that being said, the black swan theory also ties hand in hand with this. The black swan theory basically is something random that would never ever happen to you, something out of the ordinary. You might not even notice it, but it ends up having a drastic toll on your life, whether it's for the good or the bad. Welcome to the butterfly effect, where everything you do matters.
I'm going to give you a brief demonstration here of an illustration of the famous butterfly effect, which is how small differences at the beginning can result in very large differences at the end when you're dealing with complex systems. What we have here are two pendula. They're called double pendula because they can pivot not only at the top but in the middle. And I'm going to illustrate how you can get simple behavior from this and also very complicated behavior. If I start these two pendula, they're pretty much identical pendula. If I start them from basically the same place, as you might expect, they do basically the same thing. If I want to predict what they're going to do in the future based on where I started them, you can tell they're both on the right, left, right, left, right, left. They're both doing about the same thing. However, if I start them out up here, again, I'm starting them from basically the same place, but when I let go, you can see that very quickly they're now doing completely different things. So if I wanted to try and predict what one of these pendula would do based on where I started it, it would be very difficult, because even if you start identical pendula from very similar starting points, within just a few seconds they're doing radically different things. So the butterfly represents the slight difference in where they started, and the hurricane represents the fact that they're doing very different things later on. So it's not that the butterfly causes the hurricane, it's that the butterfly and the hurricane represent small differences at the beginning and big differences at the end.
Have you ever heard of the saying, if a butterfly flaps its wings in Japan, that means there's going to be a hurricane over the United States? Basically, it's not saying that that one butterfly is the complete factor, or maybe it is. It kind of depends on the whole situation. It's saying that anything minuscule that you do can have a huge outstanding effect, such as maybe a whole bunch of things led up to a hurricane and it wasn't going to happen, but that one flap of the butterfly's wings is the one to set it over, such as when your cup's full or almost full, and one little thing like spilling a coffee sets you off. It's about the little things that add up to that explosion, and that could either be a good thing or a bad thing. It's just kind of crazy how the butterfly effect affects people in their days, every day of their life. It is a daily thing, every second, every microsecond, every year, every million years. Things are happening that are outside your control and inside your control. That's why, with the butterfly effect, you should take action. Do the next right thing. Shitty things are going to happen to you whether you like it or not. And at the end of the day, you have to be aware. You just have to be aware. Take action, guys.
The most well-known illustration of chaos theory is, of course, the butterfly effect, conceived by mathematician and meteorologist Edward Lorenz in 1972. It suggests that something as tiny as the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil could trigger a tornado in Texas by impacting the initial conditions of the world's weather.
Of course, there are billions and billions of butterflies, as well as many other independent factors underlying a system this complex.
Again, the law of large numbers comes into play, allowing us to predict the probability of a tornado caused by a butterfly. This is extremely unlikely, virtually impossible. You would be more likely to win the lottery 1,000,000 times in a row.
Similarly, we cannot predict exactly what tomorrow's weather will be, but we can make smarter weather forecasts that tell us the probability of specific weather types with improved reliability.
Understanding the mathematical foundations of chaos is important, because this gives us practical insight into the complex systems behind major global challenges and provides the basis for new technological applications.
For example, here at Bristol, our researchers are working closely with the Met Office and using novel approaches such as high-performance computing and machine learning to improve the accuracy and value of weather, climate, and atmospheric models. This takes our fundamental knowledge of mathematics and physics and uses it to improve prediction and decision-making around life-changing extreme weather events such as flooding, storm surges, heat waves, and droughts. Partnerships like this have the potential to be truly innovative,
leading to major benefits for the climate, for individuals,
and for society
as a whole.
You know, basically, I wanted to share this video with you guys because I believe that the small things that you do matter. I know I've said it a million times in this video, but it is true. Seriously, the more right things you guys do every day, the better your life will get. The more action you take, the better chances of getting where you want to go will boost up exponentially. Seriously, even the smallest thing is making your bed in the morning might make your day a whole lot better. It might push you to do other things. I know it sounds silly, but try it. Try making your bed. Try taking a shower in the morning, brush your teeth with your opposite hand, implement change, and implement good change in your life. I promise your life will get so much better. I wanted to share this video about the butterfly effect in hopes that everybody will take action today. You guys only live one day at a time. Also, you guys only have one life. You're not a cat. You don't have 9. So take advantage of the life that you're given and don't ever forget. Do the next right thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and this was Between You and Me with your host, Dylan20.